Hey everyone, my name is Sarjeel Yusuf, and at the time of preparing this presentation, I'm a product manager at Atlassian. And welcome to this lightning talk, where I will try to go over 5 serverless-based architectures in this limited time to build ancillary functionality, basically, to better facilitate our DevOps workflows. So getting into it, the goal of DevOps is to increase velocity while maintaining stability. We can do this by striving for the 2 pillars which I like to present as you build it, you run it, and automate everything. Basically breaking down the silos and making sure that we can facilitate this process by automating much of our development pipeline. The reason why I want to use serverless for this is because the benefits of serverless are that they are fully managed, scalable, and provide a pay-as-you-go model to build cost-effective solutions. And getting right into our first use case, which is monitoring, here I want to talk about more specifically synthetic monitoring. This is something we used to do in Opsgenie, where we would set up Lambda functions to constantly send user impersonating requests to the production environment and collect the response in transactional Lambdas. And you can better analyze these responses using serverless monitoring tools to overcome that black box problem of serverless. And once you overcome that black box problem, you see that the benefits of Lambda functions are that they're lightweight, easy to spin up, and cost effective. Finally, you can use anomaly detection functionality in most of these monitoring tools that exist these days to trigger alerts and consolidate these alerts in alert consolidation and on-call scheduling tools such as Opsgenie, so that you always notify your responders whenever something goes wrong. And this brings us to the remediation use case, where we can leverage Event Bridge at the core. And again, using Opsgenie and Event Bridge's integration, we can trigger remediation events into your AWS infrastructure. Thanks to Event Bridge's routing rules, depending on the trigger events from Opsgenie, respective actions can be taken. Again, this is lightweight and fully managed using the serverless event bus service, which is Event Bridge, right? And the next use case I want to talk about is continuous deployments, where we promote pull-based pipelines over conventional push-based pipelines, a concept that is now popularly being captured in the practice of GitOps in Kubernetes-based infrastructure, which aims to speed up the release process. Right. The process involves developers creating pull requests through Git VCS tools. Docker then stores these images upon the pull request. Amazon S3 pulls the images to store Helm charts, and AWS Lambda is leveraged to pull the charts and commit to the cluster repo. We can leverage operator tools such as vworks in the end, which detect changes in the cluster repo and make the appropriate changes in your respective Kubernetes clusters. By using serverless functions, we ensure cost-effective and fully managed components to facilitate the entire process. However, making automated changes is a very risky business, and that's where we should really think about pre-production testing practices, such as continuous integration load testing. Right, and again here we see the use of serverless functions. For example, in this example in the slide, Joyce Lynn, the director of developer relations at Postman, shows how Postman open source Newman project can be used to orchestrate several Postman collections in parallel. You can write several Postman collections to run and test and measure the SLOs. And once you establish a baseline, you can scale up or down your Lambda functions to see what the load or how your infrastructure reacts to these varying loads. And again, you can use monitoring tools such as Datadog to iterate over the feedback. Finally, I want to talk about ChatOps, which can be used in several different places throughout the deployment, development, and operation workflow. Similar to what we saw with auto remediation, Event Bridge is at the core of this architecture, and it's hooked up to several Lambda functions. And as per the events received from the chat tools such as Slack through to Slack commands, you can perform various actions directly from the chat tool which your team is used to into your AWS infrastructure. Finally, these were the 5 basic DevOps facilitating architectures built using serverless services. But serverless is not only limited to building these ancillary functionality, it can actually be directly involved in building out your main infrastructure. And in the longer version of this talk, I speak about how serverless services can help with thinking about concepts such as active-active and cost-effective architectures. I actually speak about this with Jeremy Daly in his show, Serverless Chats. So go check that out. It must be noted though that serverless is not always cost effective, right? So depending on your traffic, your costs can spiral. So that's one thing to keep note of. Another point is that in this presentation, I've mostly shown AWS services, but that doesn't mean you're restricted to only AWS services. And that's my time. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. I know we didn't manage to go into much detail, but this is a lightning talk. But if you do want to go into more detail, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I'm always happy to have these conversations with everybody. Thank you so much.